After spending some time with it, I thought it might be helpful to share what I have noticed so far. I have been using it in my living room, right in that high traffic path between the couch, the coffee table, and the hallway. So it has seen shoes, socks, bare feet, a couple of snack spills, and the usual daily mess that happens when you actually live in a space. What this rug is, in real terms, is a soft printed area rug with a beach-themed look. It is for someone who wants a coastal style without having to commit to big decor changes. If your room feels a little plain or you have a lot of neutral furniture, this kind of design can add color and a theme without needing new curtains or wall art. I also think it makes sense for a family room or a bedroom where you want something comfortable underfoot, but you still need it to be practical. What made it interesting to me is how it tries to balance comfort and easy care. A lot of rugs that feel soft end up being annoying to clean, and a lot of rugs that are easy to clean feel flat and stiff. This one sits somewhere in the middle, and that ends up being the main reason I kept it down instead of swapping it out after a week. Visually, the nautical beach design is pretty straightforward. You get those ocean blues and sandy tones, and the pattern reads clearly from standing height. From across the room, it gives a calm coastal vibe without looking busy. Up close, it is more of a printed look than a woven pattern, so if you are expecting that textured, handmade depth, that is not what this is. But for a living room where you just want the space to feel lighter and a bit more relaxed, it does the job. The feel underfoot is soft in a way that is noticeable when you are barefoot. It is not the thick, sink-in kind of plush that you get from a very high pile rug, but it has enough cushion that I do not mind standing on it while tidying up the room or wiping down the coffee table. I also noticed it does not feel scratchy, which is a deal breaker for me. Some rugs feel fine with shoes on, and then you step on them barefoot and immediately regret it. That has not happened here. Build-wise, the edges on mine look clean and it has held its shape so far. It arrived folded, and the folds were obvious at first. In my case, it took a little while for the creases to relax. I helped it along by smoothing it with my hands, then placing a couple of heavier books along the most stubborn fold lines for a day. After that, it looked normal from most angles. If you are very particular about seeing any crease at all, just know you might need a bit of patience at the start. The backing is the part that matters in daily life, because this is what decides whether the rug stays put or becomes something you constantly adjust. On my floor, which is smooth, it has stayed in place better than I expected. It is not glued to the ground, and if you try to push it on purpose it will move, but with normal walking it has not been sliding around. I still think people with very active kids, or anyone placing this on a very slippery surface, might want to add a separate rug pad. Not because it is unusable without one, but because a rug pad makes everything feel more stable and a little more cushioned. Living with it day to day, I noticed the 8x10 size is a practical fit for a standard living room layout. It is large enough that the front legs of my couch can sit on it, and it helps define the seating area so the room feels more put together. If you place it too far forward, you can end up with a floating rug look where nothing touches it, and that can make the room feel disconnected. Once I centered it so the furniture interacted with it, it looked more intentional. Now cleaning and spills. I have already had a couple of small accidents. One was a drink that splashed near the edge. I blotted it right away with a towel. The surface did not immediately soak it like a shag rug would, which gave me a few extra seconds to react. After blotting, I used a little mild soap and water, and it did not leave a noticeable mark once it dried. I also had some crumbs and dust from regular foot traffic, and a standard vacuum handled it fine. One thing I pay attention to is whether a rug starts to look dull in the paths where people walk the most. So far, it has not developed that obvious worn lane, but I also rotate rugs occasionally, and I would recommend doing that here too if you have a consistent traffic path. As far as washing goes, I did run it through a wash to see how it holds up. I used a gentle cycle and let it dry fully before putting it back. The colors on mine stayed consistent and it did not come out looking warped. The practical note here is that an 8x10 rug is not small. Depending on your washing machine size, this may be easy or it may be a struggle. I could do it, but it was not effortless. If your machine is on the smaller side, you might end up using a larger machine elsewhere. So yes, it is washable, but the convenience depends on what you have at home. Comfort-wise, it has become one of those rugs I naturally step onto when I am walking around barefoot. It feels warmer than the bare floor, and it softens the room acoustically a bit too. It does not completely change the sound, but it takes away some of that echo you get in rooms with hard surfaces. There are a few limitations worth saying out loud. If you want a rug with a lot of texture and a woven look, this is more about the printed design than a rich surface detail. If you are sensitive to creases from folding, you will probably notice them at first. And while the backing helps, I would not treat it like it is impossible to move. It is stable enough for my daily use, but I would still be cautious if you have someone in the house who needs maximum traction. One more thing. The beach theme is clear, and that can be a pro or a con. In my space, it works because I already have neutral furniture and a couple of blue accents. If your room is more rustic, more traditional, or very modern and monochrome, you will want to make sure the colors and theme will not feel out of place. I think it looks best when you let it be the main bit of color in the room, and then keep everything else fairly simple. Overall, my impression after living with it is that it is comfortable, it looks good from normal viewing distance, it stays reasonably put, and it is manageable to keep clean if you stay on top of spills. It feels like a practical rug that also happens to add a specific style to a room, instead of something that only looks good in a staged photo. If you have any questions about how it holds up in a particular room setup, or you want me to test something specific like pet hair pickup or long-term wear in a hallway, leave a comment and I will try to help. If this video was useful, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your own experience with washable area rugs. Thank you for watching.